Hey, back, it's me, Ian. Well, it's another episode of what I've watched. So, let's just get on with it. The first one is, well, Star Wars from 1977. Star Wars A New Hope. We knew it as Star Wars, but they kind of added this A New Hope, as it went on. And it's written and directed, of course, by George Lucas. He was the creator. George Lucas directed THX 1138 in 1971, and then American Graffiti in 1973. American Graffiti, I absolutely love. I remember watching that. It's a comedy. It's absolutely brilliant. And then, of course, so he directed the first Star Wars, and then he directed The Phantom Menace in 1999, Episode 1, and then 2002, Attack of the Clones, Episode 2, and 2005, Revenge of the Sith, which was Episode 3. So he directed the prequels. This one is where it all begins, really, isn't it? It's such a wonderful, wonderful. It's like a modern day fairy tale in a way, in space, and it's got all the ingredients of a great family adventure as well, because it's a family film. You could take everyone in the family along to watch this, and everybody would enjoy it, and you've got something for everybody to enjoy. You know, you've got, of course, the robots, R2D2, and CP3O, which are just absolutely fantastic. So, of course, the core cast that we get starts here. So we've got Mark Hamill, we've got Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and in this episode we've got featured Alec Guinness. He does pop up in other episodes, but this is where we see him kind of establishing himself, and this mysterious figure, and he's rather good. And of course, we've also got Peter Cushing here as well. I mean, what can I say about the man? He's just a fantastic actor. He was an absolutely amazing actor, could do so many different roles. And here he is playing a bit of a villain. Yes. And of course, you can't really forget the archetype villain. You've got the goodies who stand for this, but you've got the evil, the dark side. And of course, that is Darth Vader. And this is such a brilliant creation, Darth Vader. Those involved in it are David Prowse, who is the, who physically plays the part, but don't forget the voice, and that is played brilliantly by James L. Jones, the voice. Who can forget that voice? You can't. And it's chilling. And he has a bad case of asthma most of the time. But he's brilliant. He's such a great creation. And Because as the story develops over these trilogy, then we learn so much more about things, and it is it's just a wonderful story, the old epic story. But this, of course, is where it all began, and um, what can I say? So after I'd watched that, I thought, well, you can't really do anything else but watch The Empire Strikes Back, which of course is from 1980. Now, the story is by George Lucas, but this one is directed by Irvin Kershner. Now, he directed Spies, 1974, The Return of a Man Called Horse, 1976, Eyes of Laura Mars, 1978, which is a great film, and he did Never Say Never Again, 1983, the Sean Connery return of James Bond, but because of various copyright licensing agreements, he couldn't put it under official Bond title. And I'm going to be honest, I know not everyone agrees, but I really am not that keen on it, to be honest. It's not the Bond, the Sean Connery that I really like. Yeah. He also directed RoboCop 2, 1990 as well. So George Lucas just put so much again in the script. It all planned out, and this story, it just adds further depth. And this is much darker as well. It's a much darker story, and it works well. And I think many critics believe that this is the best of all the Star Wars films. It stands out so well, and I'm not really going to argue with it in the context of this series. It is an outstanding piece of work and very enjoyable. And the ending, the ending is you wanting to see what happens. Han Solo in a terrible situation, frozen. There he is. How they're going to get him out? And I remember leaving the cinema and thinking, oh boy, I want to see the next part. But we had to wait a bit. But there we are. And then finally, of course, from 1983, so that was 3 years we had to wait, we have got Return of the Jedi. Now, Return of the Jedi, I really enjoy quite a lot, and it completes the series. I think some people perhaps feel it's not as good, that it's a bit of a letdown, and I think that all comes down to the Ewoks. I think it does, maybe they're not everyone's cup of tea. I can see that, but I think this story is great. And don't forget, the Ewoks remind us of the children's origins of this story as well. And I think that's why it's there to some extent, But this rounds up the series really well. And for me, this original one is just the best. It's hard to believe in many ways how the Star Wars universe has developed from this to what it is now on TV, the series is that Disney Plus have done. There's nothing wrong with Andor. Andor is a great series. It's perhaps the best, but there has been some awful stuff as well. And it's very adult, isn't it now? It's lost a bit of that sort of lighter magic of all this trilogy. It's a shame, really. And again, I think they tried to recapture it in the prequels, and then the sequels after that in the films. But for me, it's these three that are just I just love them. I just think they're the great, and I can live with these all the time, definitely. Now, the next one, a complete change, but one that I absolutely love, and this is Glory. This is from 1989. It's set in the American. I nearly say I'm obsessed with English Civil War, but the American Civil War, which is a very good obsession as well to have. And this really, it's an epic film, really. I think that's a good way of describing it. And it's all about leading up to the attack on Fort Wagner, or Wagner, I think you can say it. And the key element is that a regiment of all black soldiers is put together, and this is put together by his name, Robert. I was just trying to look there. Robert Gould Shaw. It's based on a true story. Who did this? He was a white guy who had been specially commissioned. He was a young officer, a very young officer, and given this task to train them and put them as a regiment. Now, I think what is important is that he is very involved in this, and he doesn't want them there to be just a representation. He wants them to be a fighting regiment, and this is what he gets. And I think it's such a great story. It really is. Now, it's directed by Edward Zwick, who was films involved in as a director About Last Night, 1986, Legends of the Fall, which a few of you might have heard of, 1994, Courage Under Fire, 1996, The Siege, 1998. Now, a great film. I love this one. The Last Samurai, 2003. Tom Cruise. Brilliant film, absolutely. Blood Diamond, as well, 2006. And Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. I've not seen that series of the Reacher films, and that's from 2016. And then American Assassin, 2017. So they're just some of the films that the director, Edward Zwick, was involved in. Now, this stars Matthew Broderick. Matthew Broderick, I think, really came to prominence in War Games, 1983. Then he was in Ladyhawke, 1985. And then a film that was very popular, always mentioned, Ferris I can't never say it. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 1986. I can't get it right, can I now? The Freshman. Now, Freshman, 1990. That is a brilliant film with Marlon Brando kind of taking a rather sort of humorous look at his character in The Godfather. Oh, yeah, that brilliant. Cable Guy. The Cable Guy, 1996, is in that brilliant, dark Jim Carrey film. Godzilla, the remake, 1998, and Last Shot, 2004, and Tower Heist, 2011. They're some of the films. But then the next two actors, I really, it's wonderful to see them. We have got Denzel Washington, who is just, wow, what can you say about Denzel Washington? He is absolutely brilliant. Remember him in Cry Freedom. Absolutely wonderful. That's 1987, Cry Freedom. Malcolm X, 1992. Crimson Tide, 1995. Training Day, 2001. I mean, these are just great films, aren't they? The Equalizer, 2014, and then 2018 and 2023. So he did the series of Equalizer films. And of course, he was in Gladiator 2, 2024. And then, as I say, that is Denzel Washington. And then we got Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman, he's a legend. He really is. The voice, he's such an outstanding actor. I mean, where do you start with him? I don't know. I'll just mention a few because there's so many. But let's start what really got him noticed. Oscar-winning performance. 1973, Driving Miss Daisy. Sorry, that's 1989. He was in Blade. I should have mentioned that. 1973. And of course, he was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which is the Kevin Costner version, which is 1991. He was in Unforgiven. Wow. Unforgiven, brilliant Western, 1992. And of course, he was in Seven, yeah, 1995. And I think the film that everybody looks at and says is an absolute classic, The Shawshank Redemption, 1994. And they're just a few. Amazing actor, absolutely. So we got those two in. And this film, it's great. You get the whole thing of them training, getting together, and then they will go into battle. And sadly, the ending is really depressing. But it's what happened, and it's really sad and heartfelt and gritty in that sense. So, this film, it's outstanding. I really recommend Glory if you want a really good look at the American Civil War. Then this is the film. This really is. Compared with some of the others that we've seen, it's another way of looking at it and seeing, and it's based on actual historical events as well. So I really recommend this. I just thoroughly enjoy it. It's just a great film. Right. The next one. Well, it's inevitable. Every week I do these, and I've got to have one in. You can't live without one, can you, really? It is a Hammer film. And of course, it's The Reptile. And this is from 1966. This was on a double bill. They did this in 1966 with Rasputin the Mad Monk. So the same year that was issued. What imagine going along to the cinema and seeing those two together. This was the B movie, and that was the main film. But wow, for a B movie, you're going, wow, this is great. Absolutely. Now, this is written by Anthony Hines, and it's directed by John Gilling. John Gilling, again, some absolute wonderful films. The Flash and the Fiends, 1960. The Shadow of the Cat, 1961. I loved Shadow of the Cat. He was in the Pirates of Blood River, 1962. Hammer again. Panic, 1963. The Scarlet Blade, 1964. The Brigand of Kandahar, 1965. The Plague of the Zombies, 1966. And that film is just outstanding. It's Hammer. Brilliant. I love that. Do you know, it is one of the best zombie films ever made. I'm going to make that claim. And there is a lot, but can you really touch that film? I don't think so. In atmosphere and the way it is. Yeah, we've got all the Living Dead and all the Walking Dead and all that stuff. But this, The Plague of the Zombies, is an amazing film. And of course, he also directed The Mummy Shroud, 1967. And the last film he directed was La Cruz del Diablo from 1975. Now, this stars Ray Barrett, who was an American actor who Hammer brought over for this. He was in Touch of Death, 1961. Jigsaw, 1962. Thunderbird Zag Go. He was the voice of John Tracy and the Hood. Hey, yeah, brilliant. Revenge. Yep, was in Revenge, 1971. Hostages, 1975. And this is an Aussie film. I've talked about it before. Dark, but brilliant. The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith, 1978. Wow, that is an amazing piece of Australian cinema. Wow, what can I say about it? I mention it a lot. Also, he was in Contagion, 1987. Brilliant Lies, 1996. Visitors, 2003. Film called Australia, 2008. And lots of TV series and TV films. And then we've got Jennifer Daniel, who plays Valerie Spalding. She was in Kiss of the Vampire, 1963. Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights, another version in 1992. A lot of TV series and TV films. And then we have got the man himself. He's always in so many Hammer films, not often a big role, playing a similar kind of role as a landlord or something of that. Well, he's here. Michael Ripper playing Tom Bailey, and this is a bigger role for him. He's an important part, if not one of the important parts of the film. He's really good, and it makes you think why they should have used him even more than they did. Hammer, really good. Michael Ripper, brilliant. And then we've got Jacqueline Pearce, and she plays Anna. Jacqueline Pearce, she absolutely looks beautiful in this. Really great actress. Oh, of course, if you're a sci-fi fan, you know Blake Seven, and she played Servalan. Was cool, beautiful, absolutely, and a villain. Yeah, she was, but brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You wouldn't want her as a villain. A villain. Oh yeah, lovely, beautiful. And then we've got John Laurie, who plays Mad Peter. John Laurie. You know John Laurie is. You've got to know him when you see him. We're doomed. Of course, it's Private Fraser from Dad's Army between 1968 and 1977. He played Fraser. But he absolutely wonderful. You look at he had a massive film career, before Dad's Army. He goes back to 1930. As an actor, he went back to 1930. Important films that he was in. He was in Henry V, Olivia won 1944. He was in Caesar and Cleopatra, 1945. He was in Treasure Island, where he plays Blind Pew in 1950, which is, a real good part, that one. Hobson's Choice. Wow. 1954. John Mills classic. And then he was in The Abominable Dr. Fives, 1971, which is, wow. Vincent Price, say no more, really. Brilliant. And he was in, well, a Disney film, which is well loved, which is One of Our Dinosaurs is Missing from 1975. He was in that. And then The Prisoner of Zenda, 1979. So, I mean, he wasn't just Dad's Army, but he'll always be loved as the gloomy Fraser. Oh, yes. I mean, Dad's Army. Fantastic series. So, there's me getting all sentimental about the actors. What is this about then? It's set in the 19th century in Cornwall. And Harry Spalding, he's sort of an ex-military man. And he inherits from his late brother this cottage. And he arrives there with his new bride. He's got a new bride. And he thought, well, I'm going to live here. No, the villagers are not quite as keen on that. There's this bad vibe, the unfriendly villagers, which we do get. And in Cornwall, oh dear. No, I'm not going to offend anybody in Cornwall. No, better not do. Anyhow, so we got this vibe, outsiders coming in. And the only person that shows him any sort of friendliness and help is the character played by Michael Ripper, the landlord. And the landlord, that's why he's in this quite a lot. He's very helpful to them. And he does mention about it, but he's, about this cottage, that maybe they'd be better off selling it and going off somewhere else. But no, they're not going to do that. Now, near the cottage is one of the keys, because there lives their doctor, the Dr. Franklin. Dr. Franklin, a figure that seems a rather sort of strange man, really. And he lives in a house, big house, very near. And he's definitely a sinister character. And he's got a daughter called Anna, who's played by Jacqueline Pearce. But there's a big secret. And the big secret might be a bit here. Yes, there was the big secret. Brilliantly done. I've got to give Jacqueline Pearce a lot of credit. She's really good. And in the makeup, because of course the secret is she is the reptile, she looks like that. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I think she's great. Absolutely wonderful. So it's just classic Hammer, and I absolutely loved it. You can't beat Hammer, can you, really? And these editions are really good. I presume eventually in the future this will be getting one of these updates again. But look at that nice slipcover. Absolutely adore this. Fantastic. Now, the next film. Don't worry, we ain't got that many more. God, your thinking is going on too much. Right, next film is this. Bunny Lake is Missing from 1965. This is adapted from a 1957 novel by Miriam Modell. And the screenplay is by John Mortimer and Penelope Mortimer. It's directed by Otto Preminger. Wow. Now, he goes back to 1931 with Die Grobe Licht. That's his first film. Sorry for my accent then. He also directed Forever Amber, 1947. The Man with the Golden Arm, 1955, just a selection of films. Saint Joan, 1957. Exodus, major film from 1960. The Cardinal, 1963. Skidoo, 1968. Rosebud, 1975. And The Human Factor, 1979. Just a few highlights I've just brought out. This film stars Laurence Olivier. Laurence Olivier plays the inspector. What can I say? It's always good to see Olivier. Such a great actor who, was so well known in the theatre, but also so well known in his film career, developing right from the 1930s. He played so many great roles. I know he came in and did his work here. He was busy, I think, in a theatre role at the time, but he did this, and he's just a professional, a real professional actor. He put so much, even in the part of a smaller film like this. It is amazing to see the talent of Olivier, and he plays the inspector, and he's just spot on, absolutely spot on. Then we've got Carol Lynley, and she was in The Cardinal, that popped up again 1963. She was in The Poseidon Adventure 1972, so she's well known for that. The Cat and the Canary 1978. Dark Tower 1989. Wow. She's excellent in this. Just gets the role spot on, absolutely. Then we have got Keir Dullea. He was in The Thin Red Line, 1964. 2001 Space Odyssey, 1968. Black Christmas, brilliant horror film, 1974. He was in the sequel to 2001, 2010, in 1984. He appeared in that one, wow. And he was also in Valley of the Gods, which is 2019. Yeah, some great acting actually in this film. For a low budget film, this is just absolutely fantastic. So you're going, what is going on? What's this all about? Well, the basic premise of this story is that a mother who's newly arrived with her husband in this country, they're setting up home, right? And the daughter is at school, and she goes to collect her. But the twist is, of course, nobody knows or remembers a daughter being there. Wow, yeah. And as this story develops, she is getting more desperate to find out the truth. And eventually, of course, we get the police called in with Laurence Olivier as the character. And it gets to the point where no one believes her. No one seems to believe her. Well, maybe the inspector still has some faith, even though it's looking not so good, really, in people's eyes. She's seen as somebody who's just completely lost it, and they don't believe her. They don't believe her at all. And then her husband is not very helpful either in many ways. But anyhow, I'm not going to give too much away. But this is a really good film. I love the premise. Absolutely fantastic. It's on this indicator label. If you see these sales that they have, get this. It's well worth having. It's a great piece of just wonderful cinema that you see of this era. 1965, black and white, fantastic, brilliant. And then finally, my last film. The last film. It's again on Indicator, and I've just fancied another Western. I did. But is it a Western straight off? Anyhow, it is The Big Gun Down from 1967. It's counted as a spaghetti Western. And the character, Salima, who was in this film, big part, was so popular that they continued into the next film, Run, Man, Run, from 1968. Now, the screenplay is by Sergio Donati and Sergio Salamama. Mama. Yeah, we're getting there. Now, it's directed by Sergio Salama, who directed, Triple Beautiful Land, Tripoli. That's Land of Love, 1954. Requiem of a Secret Agent, 1966. Run, Man, Run, 1968, which we mentioned, same character he uses. Violent City, 1970. Jewel in the Brain, 1972. Revolver, 1973. We've reviewed that maybe quite a while ago. I looked at it. Oliver Reed is in that, and he's really good. Also, The Black Corsair, 1976. So those are some of the films that Salome directed. Now, this film, of course, there is, well, the standout actor, Lee Van Cleef, who, of course, he's so well known in. His career is amazing. Again, another with so much work they did. It started with him in 1952 with High Noon, which is classic. He was also in Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, 1953. He was in The Yellow Tomahawk, 1954. He was in The Quiet Man, 1956. And he was in China Gate, which is 1957. China Gate we've covered. I think is a really good film. He was in Gunfight at the Hockey Corral, 1957, classic. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, that is a really highly rated Western, 1962. How the West Was Won, oh boy, 1962. And then this is what he's really well known for A Few Dollars More, 1965. The Clint Eastwood, Man with No Name. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. Wow, I mean, what can I say? And then Death Rides a Horse, 1967. Commandos, 1968. The Magnificent Seven Ride Again, 1972. The Stranger and the Gunfighter, 1974. Escape from New York. Remember him in Escape from New York, which is brilliant. 1981. He was in Code Name Wild Geese, 1984. Speed Zone, 1989. And his last one was Thief of Fortune, 1990. Some absolutely amazing films, and they're just a few. What a career he had, really. Then we have got Thomas Millian, who plays Cuchillo, and he makes this part his own, absolutely. And say he carried on. It was so loved in playing this part. Now, Thomas Millian was in Bad Girls Don't Cry, 1959. A Day of Lionheart, 1961. Mad Sea, 1963. I Kill, You Tell, 1965. The Agony and the Ecstasy, 1965. Charlton Heston in that one. And then there's Run, Man, Run, 1968. The Year of the Cannibals, 1969. The Last Movie, the last movie, 1971. And then another one you may have heard of, Don't Torture a Duckling, 1972, which is a Fulci film. Yes, he was in that. Almost Human, 1974, which is a Lenzi film. And The Twist, 1976. Brothers Till We Die, 1977. Monsignor, 1982. King David, 1985. The Gang That Sold America, 1978. Salome, 1986. Revenge, 1990. Wow, there's loads. Havana, 1990. JFK. Oh, God, blimey. 1991, JFK. Amistad, 1997, which is great. Traffic. Now, Traffic, what a classic film. That's from 2000. The Lost City, 2005. And Fuggery, I think. Fuggery, 2014, last film. That's just a few. This is Thomas Milian. Wow. What an actor. And in the extras, there's a great interview, and you think, geez, what a character he is. And then you got Lee Van Cleef. Wow, this film, it's great. Now, Lee Van Cleef plays a marshal, really, who's come to get Cuchillo. Is wanted for, it seems at first when you see him that he's not a very nice character. He's wanted for rape, underage girl. We see him and you think to yourself, well, he's not a very good character. But that's the interesting ingenious of this film. Because as you find out later on, did anybody really check that if he did these things? And we get the impression that he didn't. And so we have here a brilliant switch. When you watch this film, you can't help but like this character. And yet he's a baddie. But of course he's not really. He's not. It's a brilliant bit of direction and writing, really. Because he becomes a lovable character. You're thinking, oh, I don't like this character, but he's not supposed to be a good guy. But he is, really. It's a great piece of writing, I think, and filmmaking that we get that. And of course, it was so popular with the public that they carried his character on. This looks great as well in terms of direction, the scenes that we see. Oh, everything about it, I just absolutely loved. I thought it was a great. It's one of those films that you look at it, you watch it again, you're going to watch it again, and you're going to appreciate it even more as it develops. And who would have thought that with these Westerns? That Westerns are such rich pieces of film, really. They are. There's so many types of Westerns, so many different. I've really fallen in love more with Westerns, like I did when I was, when I was a child watching them with my granddad, who absolutely loved Westerns like mad. And I kind of grew up with them. And then we've seen them how they developed into the modern way of Westerns. But this one, I think is great. And, Lee Van Cleef, what a character as an actor. Unbelievable. And that's it. I mean, I've gone on too long. That's it. I know. It's a long road, isn't it? So, if you've liked this video, please give this video a like. If you give this video a like, it's good for my channel. It gets it out to YouTube, so hopefully other people might enjoy it. And if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I love to read your comments. I always reply to them. And if you haven't subscribed, why not? Because if you can subscribe, we'll let you know when I put out all these videos. You can also look in the playlist and see all the previous things. And it costs note. And hey, bye. You can't say fairer than that, can you? So that's it. Yeah, I have gone on too long. So all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.